Hey, this is AJ. Welcome back to the Handyman process. In today's video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about balancing the work-life balance between having a family, running a handyman business, having a day job, running a couple of YouTube channels. How do I balance it, or how do I not balance it, and then kind of where do things fall short? So stay tuned. I'll give you kind of what's going on in my life. If you're thinking about getting into this business, something to think about. All right, so first of all, let's talk about what am I balancing. So I have a day job, right? I've been working my day job not on and off, but switching around for forever, right? Since I was 17, 18 years old, I've had a full-time job. I've continued to have a full-time job. I work full-time hours, usually 6:30, 7 o'clock until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I do handyman stuff at night and on weekends. I also run this YouTube channel, and then I also have another YouTube channel that I do for gardening, because it's kind of my hobby. So where are the stress points and all that? Well, it's all stressful, right? The biggest thing for me is probably scheduling and time away from my family, because if you get into the handyman business, once word gets out that you can fix things and take care of things, and if your pricing is reasonable, your phone's going to just blow up. My phone blows up all the time. It seems like Mondays, and today's Monday afternoon. It's just nonstop. It's coming in via Nextdoor. It's coming in voicemails. It's coming text message. It's going through my website. It's coming in Facebook. It's email. Like you name it. I mean, all those things I did today, right? Either this morning, or I just got off work, my day job, and I'm getting ready to head out to a job in, I don't know, maybe like an hour and a half or so to work another job. I'm not gonna lie, it's stressful to try to balance all that stuff, to work it into the schedule. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of insight to how I kind of work it into my schedule and what I do, right? So when I first started doing this, I was taking every job, right? And Monday through Sunday, I had jobs. I had my day job, I had handyman jobs, and I was just busy. And at first, like I didn't know how long it was going to take things to do, so it was taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. So I've gotten better at that. I've also gotten better at turning down jobs and not taking on jobs that just aren't worth my time. I'm at a point that I can kind of cherry pick things and only take the types of jobs that I want to take. Everything else that I do want to take, if they can wait, it's pushed out. Right now, it's the end of October. I'm scheduling into December, and that's like, okay, the holidays are coming up, right? So that's the first thing. Now I block out time. I block out time that I'm not doing things. So for instance, the week of Thanksgiving, I think the week of and the week after, I've blocked out those 2 weeks for two reasons. First of all, Thanksgiving, family coming to town and whatnot. And second of all, I got a ton of jobs to do around the house that have not been done, that if I don't schedule that time, they'll never get done. So I try to put that stuff in there. And I also realize, like, I can't burn myself out. You get excited, some of these jobs come in, you're like, ooh, I can make the money. But there's another price that comes with it. Like you just get worn out on some of these jobs. So balancing all that stuff, it's always a struggle. My wife is always asking me, how can I help out? Is there anything I can offload off your plate? Well, you start to go through the list. It's like, well, can you answer the emails and all these different things that are coming in to me to try to manage that? Well, she's like, I don't know how to estimate. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. I mean, what she would be doing is what my systems are doing already. Most of my systems would be like, hey, I'm busy right now. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But it really takes a technical person to understand the job. Like, I wish I had a software system that can kind of walk people through all the questions that I would ask them, the back and forth with the stuff, and like just take all that stuff off the plate. But in the handyman business, it's not like that. We don't deal in commodities, right? We don't deal in the same thing over and over. I'll change your tire, right? Changing a tire is no big deal. It's always something different. I have a drywall hole, as an example. It's like, okay, well, how big is it? Well, it's this big. Okay, do you need texture? Yeah. Do you need it painted? Yeah. Do you need this? Do you need that? All sorts of things go into it. So that back and forth kind of has to go on. So in terms of offloading that, she can't help out too much, right? Then you go into the other aspects like social media and marketing. Yeah, she can take some of that, and we're working on her like doing that, because after each job I come back, and if you look at some of my other videos, I'm posting everything on social media. What did I do? So I kind of have a rhythm of doing that, and that's just an ongoing like self-licking ice cream cone that just generates more work for me. It just keeps going and going and going. So that's one area you can kind of balance that out if somebody can help you by managing that piece. Another part is bookkeeping. My bookkeeping is pretty solid at this point. If you've seen it in my other videos, I use an app called Novo, a banking app. I'll put a link somewhere for some videos on how I do that. But that, man, that at first I didn't know what I was doing with bookkeeping, and I went down the CPA route. But Novo is just, I can't say enough good things about it. As expenses come in and as revenue comes in, I'm just constantly categorizing it. And it's another thing, like I can do that. I have no problem doing that. My wife, if she'd have to ask me a million questions in order to categorize what's what. Plus there's also like, there's in Novo, I can just say, hey, if it comes in from Lowe's, go ahead and put it in cost of goods sold, and it kind of automatically gets categorized. So bookkeeping is not that big of a deal. The other things that I deal with is my mileage log. So I use MileIQ. I have another app on using that. So about every couple of days or so, I just open that thing up. I just swipe all my rides so that all my rides are categorized for the end of the year for taxes. I do get periodic stuff in the mail. Like I got something over this weekend that I didn't do something right with my Texas franchise tax. It's like, okay, what is that? Now I gotta teach myself, what franchise tax is. And so that's time consuming, another balancing thing. And then I would probably say scheduling is probably the biggest thing. So if you are a part-time guy, here's my advice. All right, I've been saying all this stuff and I really haven't said a whole lot, but my advice is, if you are a part-time guy getting into this, sit down with your family, sit down with your wife, figure out what days you're going to open up for work. For me right now, it's primarily every other Friday, because I had that off from my day job, Saturdays, and then maybe like a Monday night small job and a Wednesday afternoon job, 3 hours or less. But it's primarily Fridays and Saturdays these days, and it evolved to that. So I would recommend that you speak to your significant other, figure out what those days are going to be, put them on the calendar, and stick to it. I have a terrible habit of not sticking to that. And my wife's like, why'd you schedule on Wednesday? We have this thing going on with the kids. I'm like, I've gotten a lot better, but I'm still not the best at it. So my advice is set those dates, stick to those dates, and then just manage your customers. If they're like, I need somebody next week, I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help you out. Here's another person. And I find that it's helpful for me. Like a lot of people, I turn away. I think I only land 38% of the calls that come in, and I'm completely fine with that. I wish I could reduce the amount coming in and only get the leads that I want, but it doesn't work that way. But if you can, help people find somebody else, let them find somebody else, and then you're still in their good graces. Hey, thanks for getting back to me so quick. I appreciate it. And then automation, I mentioned Novo, I mentioned MileIQ, having a CRM system. I use Mark8, but there's plenty of other systems out there, Jobber, Joist, House Call Pro, whatever it may be, just to take that burden off of you. And the same thing with estimating. If you're not good at estimating, just go to HomeWise. Look at one of my videos for estimating. Just go to HomeWise, copy and paste what's in there, right? Put in your zip code, enter the details. You'll look at the numbers, you'll be like, nobody's going to pay that. People pay it. And I use it as to kind of limit the work that I have coming in. I just did a job the other day. I did, what did I do? I changed a faucet, $185. Somebody said, man, that's dirt cheap. I wouldn't pay somebody $185 to change a faucet. And somebody's like, well, plumbers are charging $300. Well, yeah, that's a different story. But, for me, I went straight to HomeWise. I went to the bottom range, $185 for that. I had 3 blinds to put up. HomeWise, $45 a blind. Put them in there, threw the bid together, and it was out in less than a few minutes or so. The guy accepted it and gave me a tip on top of it. So use HomeWise to automate that kind of stuff. And just, I can't emphasize this enough, schedule your time off. If you don't schedule it off, you won't have it, and you'll be constantly stressed out. I got all this work going on. I got nonstop phone calls coming in. Put all these guards up there to try to manage it. Try to limit the flow coming in. If you look at my website, you'll see examples of that. I charge this amount, I'm not available. Like all these, I have all these disclaimers on there to try to get people to realize if I'm going to be a good fit for them or not. And hopefully, I don't even know if it's working, right? Because I can see how many people come to my website, but I don't know how many people were like, I read this thing and I'm going somewhere else, or hey, that's too expensive for me. It'd be nice to know that, but just that's a trivial thing. The point is have that funnel that like pre-qualifies people before they even reach out to you. That's going to be your biggest time saver. So anyway, that's kind of how I do all my work-life balance management stuff. It's not great, but it's more of a warning to people who are getting into this business. Don't just see the dollar signs, see everything else that comes along with it. And just be careful how much you put on your plate. Again, YouTube, I didn't even mention that. This takes time, right? To make YouTube videos and to do this kind of work. As you might notice, I don't do a lot of editing in this stuff. I usually do one take and that's it. So I made an intro and then I do one take, and you get all my stutters, you get everything else, you get noises in the background, because I don't have that much time. I do this, I download the video, I make a quick thumbnail, I schedule it, and then I'm off to the next thing. But the main reason I do this is because there's not a lot of guys or ladies out there talking to the part-time handyman and telling them how it is. Everybody, and I'm guilty of this too, has the videos, I'll make $1,000 a day. Those videos get the likes, those get you subscribers, but a video like this probably isn't gonna get a whole lot of play, but it's useful to contemplate if you're thinking about getting into this business, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? There's other stuff that comes along with it. Anyway, hopefully it was healthy or helpful for you, and you got a little bit out of it. If you did, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up and stay tuned for the next one. Appreciate it. Thanks.